Looking back, Kevin Costner's legendary sci-fi flop is okay. Thanks to the increased attention film productions receive from online outlets, cinephiles have more access to information about nightmare shoots than ever before. Notorious box office disasters like Fant Four Stick, Solo, A Star Wars Story, Justice League, or this year's Elio debut after months of articles centered around dreaded creative differences between filmmakers and studios. Although there was certainly journalism centered on the legendary failure of Heaven's Gate, which infamously bankrupted United Artists in 1980. Mismanaged expectations had never been as public as during the release of science fiction adventure epic Waterworld, which washed into theaters 30 years ago today. Once the most expensive film ever made, Waterworld debuted at the height of 90s blockbuster mania, in which all-consuming spectacle events like Jurassic Park and Terminator 2, Judgment Day dominated pop culture. While it became an easy target for critics, Waterworld didn't spark nearly enough interest from moviegoers to turn a profit. Waterworld seemed primed for success, as it came from a director and star who turned Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, into 1991's second highest-grossing film. Although Kevin Costner and director Kevin Reynolds had maintained a successful partnership since the 1985 dramedy Fandango, the former had become one of America's most popular leading men. Given that Costner had shown success with historical epics, Dances with Wolves, romantic dramas, The Bodyguard, conspiracy thrillers, JFK, and sports films, Field of Dreams, tackling sci-fi seemed like a natural progression. Unfortunately, Costner's fame also meant that Waterworld would be taken seriously, which was a detriment to what's essentially the most expensive B-movie ever made. In what can be summarized as an aquatic Mad Max, Waterworld is set in the year 2500, where rising sea levels have forced humanity to live on giant rafts built from trash. Costner stars as an enigmatic drifter known only as a mariner, who's captured after brawling with the residents of a floating community. Amid an attack by ruthless pirates known as smokers, the mariner forms a terse alliance with Helen, Jean Triplehorn, and her young ward Enola, Tina Majorino. They search for the mythic dry land, while being hunted by the fearsome smoker warlord Deacon, Dennis Hopper. The stories that resulted from the chaotic production were innumerable. Between weather hazards that made filming inefficient, the sinking of several sets, mid-production rewrites by Joss Whedon, and the firing of composer Mark Isham, Waterworld suffered nearly every possible embarrassment. Despite debuting atop the box office and owning a respectable $264 million globally, Waterworld was overshadowed during the packed summer of 1995, which included more favorably reviewed films like Batman Forever, Apollo 13, Babe, and Pocahontas. Its chaotic development made Waterworld vulnerable to ridicule, as the film's ambitious world-building included some fairly strange details. Even if the mariner was intended to have the stoic, mysterious charisma of Clint Eastwood in A Fistful of Dollars, the suggestion that he had webbed feet and gills made the notion laughable. Earnestness has never been an issue for Costner, but it was harder to take him seriously in a film where Deacon refers to him as a toad that won't flush. Despite its unusual premise, the previous decade had proven that audiences were willing to take chances on unconventional films. But Waterworld lacked the nuances that would justify its most radical creative gambles. Without the in-depth mythology of Star Wars or the technical breakthroughs of Jurassic Park, it was too serious for its own good. And while it sparked comparisons with The Road Warrior, Waterworld's PG-13 rating prevented it from attaining the edge that had made George Miller's post-apocalyptic Whirlwind such a cult sensation. Despite the critical thrashing, Waterworld's cast and crew stood by the film, with Costner calling it a really exotic, cool movie that he remained proud of. Reynolds doubled down on Costner's defense, claiming the studio sort of shot themselves in the foot by announcing it was so over budget. While he conceded that Waterworld had its faults, Reynolds was adamant that it works quite well compared to some of the other big films. The press surrounding the film's reputation may have aided in its cultural staying power, as Waterworld inspired a novelization, a comic book adaptation, and several video games. Most famously, the Waterworld theme park stunt show debuted to rave reviews at Universal Studios Hollywood, and would later expand to Japan, Singapore, and Beijing. Few recent flops have lingered in the public consciousness as long as Waterworld, as financial disasters like the Lone Ranger or Battleship haven't inspired the same level of extraneous material or prolonged analysis. It's a testament to the film's originality, as Waterworld didn't have a built-in audience familiar with the existing source material. Waterworld is nothing if not memorable, and in an era where brands have more power than ideas, That is something to be celebrated.